I think it's safe to say there's no time in the history of our country where we have seen the kind of immorality that we're seeing today. It can be discouraging, but I want us to take a look at what our attitude and what our spirit should be as we're exposed to this. Thanks for joining me for that morning cup of inspiration. Appreciate you being here. Immorality, as Christians, we should be so upset and so concerned as to the deterioration and the tearing down of our country and literally the people in our country. That's the key. Whether it's the country as a whole, let's look at it from our neighbor's standpoint. And I was reading in the Old Testament in my daily Bible reading, and I ran across the book of Ezra. Ezra was a prophet. I want to share with you Ezra's reaction to the immorality that he came across and was exposed to when they were going back to Jerusalem to begin to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And listen what happens. I'm going to give you 5 things that he did real quick when he found out about the sexual immorality of the people of Israel. First of all, he tore his tunic and his coat. He was so upset he ripped his clothes. I'm sure he didn't have a closet full of clothes either, right? Secondly, he pulled hair out of his head, out of his beard, which was obviously painful and somewhat shameful to have hair spots removed and ripped out, but that's how intense his being upset was. The third thing is he just sat down, and my Bible says appalled. Wasn't just sad, wasn't disappointed. He was appalled at the immorality. I would say that we as Christians should be appalled at the immorality that we're seeing in our country. The fourth thing, he sat there all day. He sat there appalled at the immorality around him all day. And finally, the fifth thing, he fell on his knees, his hands were spread to God, and he prayed. I would challenge us today. Does sin bother you as much as it did Ezra? Enough to rip your clothes and pull out your hair and be appalled at it? Well, what we need to do is the last thing he did. He knelt, spread his hands out to God, and prayed. That's what we need to do. In 1 Corinthians 5:6, it tells us a little yeast works through the whole batch of dough. So we cannot let our defense down and think that a sin here, a sin there is going to be okay. It's a slippery slope. So let's begin that process of not accepting the immorality of the world, but praying to God fervently, being appalled at it, and asking Him to turn that sin around and come to repentance. May our country come to repentance. God bless. Thanks for joining me for that morning cup of inspiration, and we'll see you next time.